Welcome to another episode of Strength We Trust. It's your boy Rashawn English, my co-host
Mike Sept,
and we're here with our guy Mamou Kouyate.
All right.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here. I'm excited to have you on. It's been my guy it's been like a decade now, right?
Yep.
Solid decade we've been rouking out.
Been a minute.
Yeah.
We know each other for a long time.
We crossed paths in the gym. We worked at a similar gym, crossed paths bouldering.
Yep.
Avid boulderer. Is that a word?
Yeah, boulderer, yeah.
Boulderer?
Yeah.
I thought I just made that up. Bouldering. He's an Olympic weightlifter, competitive, not just CrossFit.
He's not me. He's just not doing it, just to do it.
I might have offended some CrossFitters. You guys me too, but there's a difference. There's a difference, and if you watch CrossFit and you watch a competitive Olympic lifter, there is a difference.
And he's him.
He is him.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to have you on for a lot of reasons. One, because you're extremely knowledgeable coach. You've been doing it for a while. I've seen clients that you work with. I watch you coach. I see how you program for yourself. But also because you've overcome quite a bit of adversity in your training journey. We're going to talk about that. But let's just, give people a little bit more of an introduction to you. I know you've lived abroad. Tell us where that was again.
Malaysia.
That was right. That's right. How long was that again?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
And that's where you started your fitness career.
Professionally, yes, that's where I started.
Professionally, and before that, what's
regular, just working out, teaching friends, family members who had questions, whatever I knew.
So then where did it start for you? Like, where did your passion for working out really start?
So I have two uncles. They're both like 6'5", big dudes. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Big.
Monsters.
Size 17 shoes, like big dudes. Yeah. And
big shoes to fill.
Yes, exactly. And as a young man, I always looked up to them, and I wanted to be, like them,
100%,
strong. And I remember I was helping my uncle. His name is Guy. I was helping him move into some new apartment, and I found this old Arnold Schwarzenegger book called The Encyclopedia of a Bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. And I read that book, and I followed his little workouts. In between, I was watching Cartoon Networks in between the movie, right. episodes. I was, doing push-ups and
busting out a few reps
because you had like 5-10 minutes
exactly
during the commercials.
Exactly. Doing pull-ups on the tree, squats in the basement with whatever I could find. So that's where the passion started. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I started to make it a profession.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you went to Malaysia, did you feel like the fitness culture was similar to what you see here in the U.S.? Because we're in New York City.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, we're in New York City. Was the fitness culture the same, different?
It's an interesting question. The culture overall is very different in Asia.
Right.
They value fitness, but they don't see it as like a separate part of their life. Mm-hmm. For example, here in New York, you get up, you go lift, you go for a run. In Malaysia, you get up, you go, you'll see people doing Tai Chi in the parks. You'll see people going for walks.
Right.
You'll see people doing slower, more relaxed exercises.
It's more intertwined.
Exactly. The Asian culture is a lot more relaxed. Even if you look at martial arts, Western martial arts like boxing, wrestling, very aggressive, right? Yep. Eastern martial arts like, Wing Chun, like karate, a little less of the aggressive part, more kind of holistic view.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So the fitness industry was a part of the culture the same way it is here. Except the fitness industry, how it is here, was seen as more like a luxury. People didn't necessarily have gym memberships the same way. Mm-hmm. In the main city, they did, but outside the city, not as much. But because of that, I was privileged in the sense where when I got into the industry, it was a small world. Mm-hmm. And coming from where I came from and looking how I look, it was easier for me to
acclimate yourself,
meet a lot of people, get 100%. A lot of opportunities. So I learned a lot. I was only in the industry for like a year and a half out there, but I learned a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also practice martial arts.
Yeah, I grew up doing mainly Kyokushin karate. So if you know GSP, George St. Pierre,
yeah,
that's his form of karate.
And he's GOAT status, so you're definitely in the right boat.
Yeah, and I did a lot of other dabbled elsewhere too.
But that was your main thing. How do you say it again?
Kyokushin.
Kyokushin.
Yeah, Kyokushin.
How is that different from like other forms of karate?
Kyokushin is a little bit more kind of bare bones, you know, like very much so. If you watch Kyokushin competitions, like we don't wear gloves, you know, it's just like bare knuckle fighting. A lot more aggressive. We like to call ourselves like the strongest karate.
Okay.
And it's a little bit newer as well. It came from a couple of other older influences.
I've never heard it. That's
and it's crazy because it doesn't seem like that matches your personality
at
You're
all.
So chill, but you practice a more aggressive form.
Well, think of where I was talking about how it's like, you know, the culture is different. So if you look at like the person who created Kyokushin, Masoyama, he's known to be the only person who beat Chuck Norris in a fight. Okay.
Chuck Norris. Wait,
hold
Chuck,
on.
Chuck Norris.
Research this.
Somebody beat Chuck Norris.
There's videos
Chuck Norris doesn't lose to anybody.
No.
There's videos of him wrestling bulls and tackling bulls.
Get out of here.
Again, we're talking about Eastern kind of culture where it's a lot more relaxed. So it's about being efficient with your strength versus going all out. You know, coming from like our perspective, looking at weightlifting, you look at like, you know, the Colombian and the American and Russian weightlifters, and you look at like the Chinese weightlifters and the Japanese.
Completely different. Yeah.
You know,
they're way more relaxed. They're much more sound, and they have the intensity that we carry over here.
Exactly.
But it's just turned to a different dial.
Exactly.
Like you can even see it, like when they're walking up to platforms and stuff like that. They're very like woosah. Like everything is very quiet and chill. And then they'll go like snatch 400 pounds.
Exactly.
But like the Eastern Europeans or like the South Americans, they're jacked when they walk up to the platform.
Yeah, they're amped up.
They're amped up. So yeah, I definitely can see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a cultural thing more than anything else.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to see that like, even though it's different cultural aspects, like everybody's still finding a way to get the same output though.
Yep, everybody's still breaking records. So.
I still can't believe he beat Chuck Norris. I'm thinking about all the Chuck Norris jokes. Like,
Yo, in my head, I'm picturing all the memes of Chuck Norris.
Yeah, like
all the jokes I've heard of Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris doesn't hunt. That assumes he's not going to catch anything. Chuck Norris just kills.
I love it.
But yeah, moving on. I'll go off on a tangent talking about Chuck Norris jokes. There was a period of time we just went off on Chuck Norris jokes for like a year. So moving forward, you moved to the United States, and then when did you find Olympic lifting?
I found Olympic lifting actually in Malaysia.
In Malaysia, I thought you started
in Malaysia,
here.
Yeah. So my coach was Coach Wu. He was the coach for the Singapore national team, I believe, and he also coached. He was an Olympic athlete for the Chinese team. So, you know, when I got certified out there, I did a little bit of everything: CrossFit, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and he had an Olympic lifting seminar, and I went to it. And, you know, Chinese weightlifting coach, and I realized, you know, I was doing CrossFit at the time, and I realized I didn't really like CrossFit as much as I liked Olympic lifting, and that's why,
I think I'm similar. I don't love multidisciplinary things. I like to just be more of a purist.
Yeah. I'll do a WOD every now and then.
Yeah, a WOD every now and then.
But we all do it. We're all gonna like tap into different modalities from what CrossFit has to offer. But like, you know, I'm in the same boat too, man. Like I love weightlifting. I love like the benefit of it, the skill work, the focus, how sound you have to be, how intricate you have to be. And like, I think, I mean, you're gonna attest to this, but I just feel like you never stop learning about yourself through weightlifting.
The journey.
And I don't think a lot of training aspects give you that feedback. You know, like whether it's CrossFit, bodybuilding, or whatever the case may be. I just think weightlifting is just, there's always going to be something. You're never going to be like fully satisfied. There's always going to be something that you're like, nah, I got to fix this. It's not going to work. Yeah. So big appreciation for it. Big.
So you come to the U.S., you're Olympic lifting, and the injury happens. We call it the injury. It is the injury. Before that, had you gone through any other injuries that were significant?
I mean, I had some back issues from trying to do too much too soon, but you know, nothing serious. Yeah.
So now for the people, tell us what happened.
Okay. It is, I want to say it's early September 2015. And I'm training for what would have been my first weightlifting competition. I was doing some clean and jerks. I think I had triples that day. So I did a clean. I think it was 285 on the bar. I did a clean. And, you know, I lost balance, fell back a little bit. Now, normally if you fall back, the distance between the barbell and the floor should be enough to kind of clear your body. So when you fall back in a clean, it's a little embarrassing, can be a little scary, but you just roll back, dust yourself off, do what you got to do.
Exactly.
But instead of keeping my elbows up, I put my elbows back. And when I fell down, my elbows hit the ground with the bar in my hand. So all the weight on the bar went into my wrist. And I ended up tearing both wrists. I tore the scapholunate ligament, which is the ligament in between your scaphoid and your lunate bone in your wrist. And ended up having to get a reconstruction surgery for both of them.
Every time I've heard him say it,
God, it makes
even it's crazy because
like,
I've heard him tell the story like multiple times now, and I've heard it, and I still cringe like every time.
Yeah.
So 285 on your wrist, and that's the definition of Snap City.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Only a small select few gonna know what we talk about.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the definition of Snap City.
Yeah.
And when it happened, was it painful? Did you know? Like
no. So I mean, anybody who's gotten an injury like during a sport, adrenaline's running. You're like, all right, something happened. I don't know what. And then after a while, you start to realize what happened.
When did you know something was messed up?
I knew something was messed up when I tried to put my hands on the ground to get up. And I was like, maybe that's not a good idea. And I went home thinking that I had just banged them up a little bit. And my wrists, my hands went numb and my wrist started to swell. And then I knew that I had to, I see your face.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
numbness,
that's a red flag.
Like swelling,
big red.
bad sign.
Yeah.
And then you went to the doctor, I'm assuming,
went to the hospital.
24 hours.
They said it was a sprain, put it in a cast. Gave me a call back, said, listen, we're going to get an MRI, and then saw a hand specialist, and
So then what was the next step? Do you immediately know that you had to have surgery? Because they said it was a sprain.
So they said it was a sprain from the x-ray, so they needed an MRI to actually see what it actually was. So the next step was to see a hand specialist, saw the specialist, and normally when you have, or from what I hear, normally when you have an injury on both your limbs, both hands, both legs. If they can, they try to do one surgery at a time.
Right.
So that way you're not prevented. You
can still live. You can still live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I needed to be casted for 2 months. So they did my right hand first.
Right.
So I was casted for a month with my right hand.
Still trying.
Then they did my left hand. So I was casted double for 1 month. And then after that month, I was only cast with my left, and then that's it.
So a month with both of your hands cast.
1 month, 1 month, 1 month. Done.
Forget about the physical for a second.
Yeah.
That month where both your hands are casted, where were you at mentally?
So obviously I was a little frustrated,
A little frustrated is
being
the
firstborn. I didn't like, I've never been in a scenario where I had to rely on other people that much, so I didn't like that.
I'm also a firstborn. You're also firstborn.
It's like it makes you appreciate things, but you also got to check your ego.
Yeah.
But I was also, I had to try to keep sane. I really don't like drugs. So when I came out back from the hospital, I had to get off the painkillers and all of that as soon as possible because I felt I'm an active person, so I felt limited, and I needed to get back to training just to keep my my sanity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
and I could totally relate to that. I remember when I tore my Achilles, the people I spoke to, the first thing they said to me, they didn't mention the recovery, any of that. They said, listen, just make sure you keep your head in a good place.
Yeah.
Because when you're injured like that, you could easily go into a dark place mentally, and that slows all recovery.
Exactly.
Like your willingness to do anything, the way you interact and show up in the world, interact with the people that you care about, that rely on you, is totally different when you're in that dark space. So
no, 100%.
Like, and that's why I asked that question, because like you have no hands.
Yeah.
Like you need your hands for pretty much everything.
So I'll be curious, like how were you approaching, because I'm assuming you're going to physical therapy during that time too.
Yeah.
So they have you doing what they have you doing. That's fine.
Yeah.
But outside of physical therapy, what are you finding and how are you finding work on your own? Like when you walk into a gym, you're just like, okay, I'm just going to get on the stationary bike right now, or I'm just going to walk on the treadmill right now. Like how are you approaching your time at the gym when you're going through that month when both are casted?
So I guess I'm blessed to be able to say that I'm in good enough shape to manage without having to use my hands for certain things.
Right.
So whether it's opening the door with my foot or picking up weights with my forearms, I could do that.
Right.
But I could only do one thing, that was train legs. So I trained every day was leg day, and
that sounds insane.
That was the only thing that could keep me sane, because I couldn't really do that much else. So yeah.
Every day is leg day.
Yeah. And I'm thinking in my head where we've done like this Squat-tober challenges and stuff, and like doing like 30 days of legs. And I've done that before, and that was atrocious. Like my legs were mangled.
So think about this. I got surgery done with my right in September.
Yeah.
I was double casted for October, so I technically...
You were doing Squat-tober.
I was forced into
He was getting it.
You had no choice.
I didn't have a choice, yeah.
That's amazing, though.
What does that program look like? And before you get into that, I remember, like, this is years ago now that I read this. This guy, he said, you know what, I'm going to test the theory that you shouldn't train a muscle every day. And he squatted for 30 days.
Yeah.
And his experience was one where, he said, like, the first week or two were miserable. He was more sore than he'd ever been in his life.
Right.
But fast forward to the end of that 30 days, he PR'd about 4 times.
Yep.
PR, personal record, heaviest he ever lift for those unfamiliar. But, like, his leg game reached new heights. Was that...
Exactly what happened. Our legs are designed to handle a lot. We walk around on our legs all day. You don't really feel them. If you had to do that with your upper body, couldn't handle it. So your legs are designed to handle a lot. It's going to be really hard to kind of max out your legs if you're recovering properly.
Right.
Like I mentioned before, I saw this podcast, and this guy from the Average Bros gym out on the West Coast said something about squatting every day, and that kind of inspired me to work on that. And through that process and some other routines, I ended up PRing my front squat while I was double casted. And then
while you were double casted, you PR'd your front squat.
That's insane.
That's retarded.
And then after that, I think about it. The next block, I did the Russian squat program, and I ended up PRing my back squat twice. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Wow.
All while injured, and then I'm over here trying to fight clients to do legs twice a week.
And there's nothing wrong with their limbs.
No, not even a little bit. So just use that so you guys understand. Like,
just have some perspective.
Just have some perspective out there. There's some people who shouldn't be doing things, who are finding ways to make things work. And so, like, there's no excuses. Like, get out there and put the work in, whatever capacity that is.
How do you program for that, squatting every day?
So the squatting every day part, kind of how you would think. Some days would be heavy, some days would be light, some days would be medium.
Right.
And I'd stagger them.
Yep.
Just stagger them based off of how I feel. Some days I just walk in, I put weight on the bar. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna go heavy today, and I go heavy. Some days I would feel kind of sore and stiff, so I'd say, okay, this would be a light variation day or something. Yeah.
So you had to pay attention to volume, you had to pay attention to load. But was it primarily based on just how you felt that day?
Yeah, pretty much. I remember 405 was an important number for me at that time. So I remember like having to like make sure I could squat 405. I think I would squat that every other day or so, at least for a single or something. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Every other day you would squat 405.
Like I would have, or if I was front squatting, it'd have to be like 315, just because I needed like mentally to have that
kind of stress on your body. Yeah, you needed that feedback.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like I need to like own this weight.
Yeah, you want it to be yours. Nah,
wow.
Man, I'm not gonna lie,
that's
man.
incredible. I'm sure you have to change your wardrobe.
I'm not working. I'm not working hard.
Your pants didn't fit anymore after that. Yeah, because it was what? How many months of that squatting every day?
Month you did it for?
Couple months. Yeah.
That's crazy. So let me ask you, because like when you're going through this process, there's a lot of strain on yourself physically, of course, clearly, mentally. Now, how are you able to like focus on that and still make work a priority? Like you still have to be a coach. You still have to be motivating for other people. You still have to show up and do your job every day.
Yeah.
Did you find that to be difficult while you were going through that? Like, was that easier to navigate than your own training?
So I learned a lot during that experience. One, I learned that cueing is really important.
Yep.
And I know for a lot of us coaches, when during the middle of the pandemic, we had to train virtually. We weren't able to do things for our clients or move them or touch them or set things up for them. So I had to learn how to do that early, because I couldn't do that. And so it taught me a lot about cueing.
Yep.
And every coach will tell you sometimes you just need the right cue and it fixes everything.
Yeah, so true.
And it allowed me to kind of empower my clients in a sense, you know, because I couldn't grab a bar. So I'd say, hey, go grab a bar.
Exactly.
And now they have to realize that then they have to learn what bar is for what. They actually have to learn, you know, we might be like, okay, obviously the 45-pound plate is the one with the 45 on it.
Exactly.
They don't know that because we just set it up for them.
You're so used to just getting things set up for them, like getting bars from them, grabbing dumbbells, grabbing kettlebells. Like they're never been put in an environment where like they have to work themselves.
Exactly.
And you know me, because I'm fully online. So it's like, that's why I was curious how you were going through that, because that was my experience where I was like, a lot of people don't even know what they're picking up, why they're using it. And now like, they're like, I've had a couple sessions, like when I first started fully, I remember like people would pick up the load in between sets and they were like, I'm tired from moving this around. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Welcome to the club. So yeah, that's good that you did that. So now, right? I mean, we're talking about a couple of years down the road now. Do you still find yourself implementing more of like the vocalization tools?
Definitely.
Or did you revert back to like the grabbing stuff for clients now? How are you now?
It's, you know, I have more tools, so I can use it however I want to use it. If I have a client who, you know, I got to move fast, I'll combine it. You grab that bar, I'll grab these plates, you're going to do this.
Now we're talking.
And you know, if you know how to train people, like, you know, you give them 3 sets of something. By the 3rd set, you already have their next circuit set up.
You're already moving.
You're moving fast. But now they can contribute to that.
There you go.
But also when you give them their homework, and again, every coach will tell you that, you know, the clients that do their homework see a huge difference in their results versus the ones that don't.
1,000%.
They're going to be able to feel more comfortable doing it because you were able to kind of guide them through it. So it's one of those things where as a coach, we know we're doing this. The client doesn't know that we're teaching them about equipment and the space in the gym as we're doing it. It's just, you know, they assume it's part of the hour or whatever.
Exactly.
But we know that we're able to implement different things and, you know.
Yeah, and I learned that, you know, over the course of my journey as a fitness professional. I used to think that it was part of the service for me to make things easier for them, but I didn't realize that I was handicapping them.
You're crushing
because you know, now I'm doing everything for you. When I go to work out, no one is setting up my weights for me. That's part of me workout, being there and getting my workout done. I'm moving the dumbbells. I'm setting up the bar with the plates. I'm putting them back. I'm doing everything, and that's part of it. And people that come to see us need more movement. So like, when I got injured and I had to have people, you know, when I had my Achilles, I'm on a scooter. I'm not like, I can't move a ton of stuff with my scooter. I need both hands to steer. So like I recognize like, one, you know, the verbal cueing is super important. I forget what coach it was that said this, but the best coaches don't need to move and demonstrate a movement pattern. They can cue you into the movement that they want you to get done. And then secondly, like, you know, I want to empower my clients. I want you to know, like, okay, that's what that is. Go get that. You can get that. This is how to get it and safely put it back. And this is what it looks like. So when you're not with me, because I'm not always going to be with you, this is how it should, this is what you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, 100%. So, I mean, it's a little, I don't say off topic, on topic for me, because, you know, I'm a huge fan of what you do weightlifting wise. So do you have a competition coming up soon?
We'll see.
I know we talked about it before.
We'll see. Yeah, we're playing around with a couple competitions. It's like it's a weird. This competition timing is always a little bit weird. So
yeah, you got to like you got to play with like, do I have enough time to block out training? Like, do I really? Is there something I really want to do? Do I want to put myself? Like, I know it's tough, but 'cause I'm curious. 'Cause I know the last competition you did was when. Now it's
probably a couple years ago.
A couple years ago now, right?
Yeah, last competition I did was the American Open Finals in Denver. What was it, 2021?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that was, you know, I was able to say, okay, I'm like a nationally ranked lifter. I had gotten 3rd in the state, and then I was able to go to the national competition and do my thing out there.
Crushing it.
But you know, you guys are both athletes, so you know, once you climb higher, you have to work harder.
Right.
So I can't just hop into a competition now unprepared.
Yeah, and you know, I think the average person can't really wrap their head around that, because when you decide to compete, especially at that level, your lifestyle has to match. Right? There's no wiggle room to say, you know what, I'm gonna stay up late tonight, or I'm gonna miss meals, because the people you're competing against are training extremely hard.
Exactly.
So to create a gap between you and them, or even to close the gap, you need to be on top of your recovery. That means getting enough sleep. You need to be on top of your nutrition, and you can't be missing your sessions.
100%.
Because if you're not getting the meals you're supposed to, you're not getting the sleep quality you're supposed to, it's going to impact the quality of your training. So, I think that's super important. Like, people look on Instagram and they're like, oh, I want to look like this. I want to be able to move this. But it's like, does your lifestyle match?
Exactly.
Like, are you willing to make those sacrifices? So it's a real consideration when you decide to sign up for a competition, because from now until then, I'm dialed in.
Yeah, that was a big reason why I was asking too, because I'm like, we all have like clients who do extracurricular stuff, whether it's playing golf with their friends, they play tennis, whatever the case may be. It's like, and they do like these local clubs, or they play with colleagues and things like that. And I'm like, they want to win. And I'm like, that's fine. We should all have a sense of a competitive spirit. But it's like, what are you doing to give yourself a leg up against these peers that you're doing it? You can't just show up and play.
No.
You can't just show up and say, oh, I've done it for 20 years, so I could just do it whenever.
Exactly.
And I'm like, no, that's not how competitive sports work in any aspect, whether it's the elite level, the amateur level, novice level. You have to always align your daily activities with the competitive environment that you're putting yourselves in. So that's why I was curious, because I've never done anything weightlifting competitive-wise.
You should.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope, my friend.
You should. I think everybody, if you do some type of powerlifting, weightlifting, you should do it for fun. Because I'm telling you, the people who have the most fun are the people who are doing it in the beginning, and then the people who have the most fun are the masters athletes. Because a lot of them come in, they're like 60, 70 years old. They just want to throw some weight around.
Right.
It's the young kids that want to be competitive that,
Yeah.
So that's also why it's tough, because you should just do it just for fun. Take a couple pictures, show it to your grandkids, nothing crazy.
He gonna have me over here signing up for a
You already signed up for rugby.
Yeah,
And you're doing high rocks too?
Yeah.
So you're competing.
Yeah, but it's different now. Like, it's just a different sense of competing. Like, not putting on shoulder pads anymore.
Yeah.
But like you said, like, I think as we get older, we just have to find different avenues to compete.
Yeah.
It keeps us young in a sense, right? It keeps us dialed in. It gives us a sense of pride, like that, like, I'm not just falling off the totem pole here. I refuse to personally.
Like, I still got it.
Yeah, like, I just feel like we all need that. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I don't think that stops with age. I think that keeps going with no matter how old you are.
One of the healthiest people I know are twice my age. It also helps with structure as well.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you, on point.
100%.
With your training, with your lifestyle habits, it keeps you on point.
I mean, you see it even with like ex-athletes and things of that nature. Like with basketball, they have like the big three, right? Which you see a lot of like retirees from the NBA, they play in it. And a lot of guys like playing the NFL, like they're playing in, like they go to like the CFL or something like that. Or the guys at NBA, they go to Europe and they'll still play for a couple more years in Europe. You might not hear about it, but like they still play.
They're still out there competing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think civilians can get something from that. It's like, just because you might feel like you're out of your prime, whatever you think that is, even though I hate thinking like that, because I see people at 45 who can outwork people at 25.
Definitely.
So the age thing is just a number. But wherever you might be, like on your spectrum, we all have to find ways to compete. I don't care what level it is.
Something, yeah.
We got to compete.
Even if it's with yourself.
1,000%.
That's who, in my opinion, that's who it should be.
Yeah, like that's exactly you took the words right out of my mouth. That's who it should be. And we had a guest on, and that was one of the first things he said. Like, he's competing with himself every day.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at these scoreboards of the competition, they're representative to me of what I could do if I work harder. So my snatch is 100-something kilos. This guy is snatching 200-something kilos, whatever. I could get there. It's humanly possible for this to happen, which means I could do it if I push myself. But I'm not necessarily chasing the person.
Yeah,
I'm chasing my own.
It's your own journey.
Exactly.
You're just on your own journey.
That's awesome. We're gonna clip that up. we definitely gonna clip that up.
100%.
So what are your numbers right now?
In pounds for snatch, it's...
You can say kilos, it's okay.
No. We're going to make it easy.
Okay, in pounds, my snatch is at 300 pounds. And then my
snatch is 300.
Yeah, I'm a snatch master. My clean and jerk is trash. My clean and jerk is like 345.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the only thing that made me feel good a little bit.
345. That's 3 plates and 210 on each side. A lot of people can't deadlift, meaning like they can't get it from floor to your hips, and he's getting it from floor to shoulders and then overhead. And snatching 300, one motion from floor to overhead. That's incredibly impressive.
Lord have mercy.
All right, so let's talk some like basic movements. So I think people understand that a little bit better. Deadlift, where you're at right now.
Weightlifters don't really be deadlifting. The last time I went for deadlifts, I was off program after my competition, and everybody had finished competing, so everybody was just doing random stuff. And I was like, okay, let me see what I can do for deadlift. And I deadlifted 500 for 5 for like maybe RPE 7-8.
Oh my Lord,
7-8.
Like what?
It's crazy. Okay. Yeah. So if you were at like 10, you would have been closer to like 585.
The most I've pulled was 550, and that was in 2017.
Wow. Yeah. And then squat.
Squat 480. I squatted 480 last year.
And let me tell you, this guy
got some work to do, man. I gotta get him.
I've seen it listen, it's artwork. It's poetry in motion to watch this guy squat.
We should get like just a barbell, you squatting video clip going across while we're talking about
like sit in the bucket. Like it's impressive. It's
That's what happens when you break both your hands. You don't have a choice.
You're gonna learn today. Exactly. You're gonna figure this out.
So did your squat form improve from that program, or was it just the weight?
So I'm privileged because I grew up in Asia. And if you grew up in Asia, squatting is a way of life.
Yep. Yeah. I'm about that life, by the way. I squat with my kid every day. I'm in my squat talking to him. I actually sit in my squat while I'm in sessions.
Yeah. I was actually more flexible than I think I wanted to be when I first started squatting. Mm-hmm. So I had to build tension. As a lot of people, you got to get looser to squat.
Yep.
I'm the opposite. I have to build tension.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of people all the time where like, especially like in the Asian culture, like you're saying, like they can sit in a squat all day.
Well, that's me. Yeah.
Loosey-goosey about it too. Like they're not even like thinking about it, not twice.
Yeah, they call it the Asian squat.
Yeah.
Like they had a picture of the prime minister, I forget of what country, and he was sitting in the perfect squat, I think talking to somebody in the audience. And that was a big deal, even though it shouldn't be. Like we all have the capacity to do that.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, but like if you go to a lot of villages in Asia, the toilet is a hole in the ground.
Yes, I didn't know that.
That's
really? I did not know this.
Yeah, I did know that.
What?
Actually, not even like the normal places, like in Malaysia, the bathroom, you go to the bathroom, it's a hole in the ground. It's not like just a hole in the ground. Like there's like porcelain and stuff, you know.
So all my clients are friends with tight ass hips. They can't even go to the bathroom.
Nope, they can't. Nope.
I mean, you can.
It would get real messy.
Fix your hips.
It would get real messy.
You go to Asia. Fix your hips before you go to Asia.
It would get real messy.
I love it. So, another topic, because I want to get everything here. Is we know how long you've been coaching. Mm-hmm. What's coaching looking like for you nowadays? Now that you've been doing it so long, like, has your passions changed in terms of coaching? Is your direction for coaching clients changed? Like what are you looking for from training nowadays? Like, what are you getting out of training?
Training other people,
training clients. Yeah, like
I mean, talking about privilege, we see our clients, 2-3 times a week?
Yeah.
That's, 2-3 hours a week. That's more than they get to see their parents. That's more than they get to see their best friends, their family. So we spend a lot of time with people. We have a huge influence on people.
1,000%.
And after a while, the whole program design part, the whole exercise part becomes easier.
Yep.
And then you realize you can impact people's lives in other ways if they feel comfortable enough with you and trust you and open enough with you to let that happen. So again, as coaches, within that hour, you control that hour. Everything that happens within that hour is up to you.
It's on you.
But outside of that hour is where things can go really well or
they can
not
go left.
Exactly. So what my focus has been on the last few years is how I can affect people's lives outside of that. Habit building, huge. People want quick fixes, right? How can you help them change their lifestyle in a way where it benefits whatever their goals are and develop good habits?
And I think I think what happens as coaches and trainers, right, is when we first get into it, our first initial instinct is to get results as fast as possible, no matter what. We don't care how we do it, right?
Our paycheck depends on it.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So we get very driven by whatever muscle we can get to show or whatever thing we can get to pop. But then you realize as you start building relationships with people that there's so much more value in helping them outside of the hour that you're with them.
Exactly.
And what I've found, and I'm sure you just spoke to this, is when people feel comfortable enough with you to open up with you about their pitfalls and things outside of the gym, the results that they're looking for in the gym aren't the main priority anymore. Now it's, how do I create a healthier lifestyle for myself outside of this hour that I'm with you? Like, how do I make sure that I'm sleeping better? How do I make sure that I'm keeping a great relationship with my kids, my family? And we don't realize how much of a importance we have with that.
Huge, yeah.
Right? Like, the bigger the benefit they get from the gym, their relationships get better, right? Like, their stress levels start to drop. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different. Like, I don't know how it is specifically for you, but I know for me, it's like I notice that more now, probably than ever. Is like when they click on the screen for me, like they're smiling.
Yeah.
Or they're happy.
Yeah.
And they're not like, oh, I got to do this workout now. Like, now working out is like a perk now.
Yeah.
It's like an added bonus to their lifestyle now. It used to be this thing like, oh, I have to do this because I'm out of shape. Now it's, I'm in shape and I love why I'm in shape.
Exactly.
So this hour that I'm with Mike, I can't wait for it. So
we're coming up on that time of year, which I know you guys know well, which is an emotional time of year for us because we get cards from our clients.
100%.
And they'll say stuff, and we're used to seeing people like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, as much as we love each other, you know we're up early, we're tired, we're getting this work in.
Yeah.
But when you get that card, you get that note, and they tell you how much you positively affected their lives and, you know, how much you mean to them. It reminds you.
It means the world, man.
You're really changing people.
I'm a hoarder, man. I still got just about
all
every
my cards.
card.
Every
oh my
card.
God,
That's crazy.
All my cards over the last 15 years.
Yep.
And I remember I moved in with my wife and she's like, you really keep all this? I'm like, yes. Don't you dare throw a single one of those out.
And I've moved multiple times now in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I got my shoebox. They're all there, man.
Yep.
Because like even if like, say I've been with people for 10 years and the fact that they still take the time to like write notes to me and show their appreciation and just like how important training has been, like that's what the driving force is now, man. Like it's no longer just results driven. And I think people need relationships like that in their lives. This is why, like, we desperately, people need relationships like this.
We're dealing with a lot of headwinds to like just human wellness.
Yeah.
There's so many headwinds, and we don't have enough resources. We don't have enough people who are on the front line to try to make this happen for the greater population. So, like, you know, I think it's super important. And kind of piggybacking what you guys were talking about as you become more seasoned in this, when you have these conversations with people and you're building their programs with you and they're opening up to you, you discover the real why.
Yep.
Behind why they show up. It's not, you know, the abs or moving a certain amount of weight. You discover the real why as to, you know, what's important for them when it comes to their wellness practice because of how it translates to how they show up in other places.
Intrinsic motivators that people have.
Yeah.
And that's big because, you know, you've heard of the 6 whys. You ask someone why, and then you ask them why again. Essentially, you find that out. You know, okay, somebody wants abs. What do you think they really want? They want abs. They want abs. Yeah. But then why do they want abs?
Yep.
And then the why behind that. And you find out a lot about people.
Yeah.
And it helps you to become a better coach and, you know, connect with that.
I mean, we've been there. I mean, look, we've all been there. We had like a client or two breaking down in the session.
Yep.
You know, it happens more often.
I was so uncomfortable the first time that happened. I'm like,
100%.
Are you crying right now? I'm looking around. I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, where's this coming from?
I've tried coaching someone before.
Oh wow!
I've tried.
Now you tapped in.
Because I was thinking about what their motivators were, and I was pissed off because I was like, dude, just keep your back straight with this deadlift.
No, man, it's crazy because like I remember when I was like, you know, 25, 26, like I don't know how to handle an emotional breakdown. I don't even know how to handle emotional breakdown with myself, let alone from another adult. Like, and I'm sitting there watching it happen, and I'm like, "Are you okay?"
I just want you to do 2 more reps.
I was like, and that's exactly what I said. I was like, "You just have 2 or 3 more to go." And I felt so bad. But now, as I'm older and that things like that happen, like now I want to know why. And that's what you're just talking about. Is like now we're just more in tune now as like seasoned coaches. And just going back to that is like, I feel like people need to have like a breakdown or 2 like that. Like it's good for you. It's 100% healthy for you. Like if you're not going to find it outside of working out's a great place to find it. You know, I've talked about it on multiple episodes where I'm like, man, breaking down and failing in the gym is probably one of the best places to do so.
Yeah, and especially when you're with your coach, a coach that you trust, that you really dialed in with, like, that's the safest place because they're not judging you and they're going to support you.
Yeah.
And you're going to get through that workout and be like, you know, even though it was hard, I had that breakdown, we got through it. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I've had some funny ones, man. But like, they know what's coming. Like, oh my God, I got a couple clients. Like, it's hilarious, and they'll probably message me when the episode comes out here and be like, Michael, why are you talking about me? Don't worry about it. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
all love.
Yeah, it's all love. I promise. But like, they'll be like in the middle of doing some snatches or cleans or whatever I have them doing. They're like, Mike, it's coming. I can feel it.
Like, it's okay.
Boom, and it's like it's okay. Like, just keep going though.
Just
like,
keep
don't
going.
stop.
Yeah,
Like, don't stop.
Just keep going.
Tears are coming. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Like, we're all here for a good reason. So
That's so funny that it's happened to all of us.
yeah,
That's so.
I mean, yo, because you made the point already, though, man. It's like there's not enough of us. As much as I think we think our field is saturated with like a lot of coaches and trainers. It's really not in comparison to the grand scheme of the population that need help.
No,
Not even close.
Yeah,
not even close, man. There's so many people in Middle America and Northwest and South, wherever the case may be, who have never seen a coach or a trainer in their lives, and they probably never will. And that's a huge reason why we're here, man. Is like doing this podcast, sitting down with coaches like yourself. Is like the general pop needs this, man. They need to hear us. They need to feel us. They need to know that we're there for them. And yeah, that's why, you know, having somebody like yourself is huge, man. It's huge. 100%. But yeah, I'm excited now because now I'm thinking about doing this weightlifting competition on the low.
You gonna do it?
I'm not gonna say yes on camera because once you say it on camera, then you have to do it. So I'm gonna say I'll think about it on camera.
I am not. No, sir. Not me.
You're doing the movements, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
But I do it because it makes me feel good.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay, go for it.
So you feel comfortable wearing a singlet?
That
Oh,
I've never wrestled in my life. He's a wrestler, so for him,
how do you feel in a singlet?
He's
how do I feel in the
Yeah.
singlet? I mean, it's been a long time, but it didn't bother me. I had to make some adjustments.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna do your thing.
Okay.
You're gonna be in a singlet on a platform with a bunch of people looking at you, and you're gonna perform.
Okay.
And then before you, there's gonna be someone that does the same thing, and after you, there's gonna be someone that does the same thing, and you're just gonna do the same thing that you did in the gym, and then when you're done, you're gonna have this huge rush of adrenaline.
All right, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to specifically look into maybe doing that's it, period. I'm not going to go any deeper into that.
In Houston, right?
Yeah.
I got family in Houston, so if you do want, I'll come visit them.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Me on a weightlifting platform.
When are you going to decide about your competition?
I got to figure out when.
Yeah.
I just got to figure out when.
So how much time do you normally give yourself to train?
I would like 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yeah,
I would like
a 12-week block.
Yeah, minimum, to kind of build up to it.
Well, I'm
excited for you, man. I think I can't wait to see you do another one.
If you do it, definitely let us know so we can pull up.
Oh, definitely.
I haven't been to a weightlifting competition. I've not live. I've watched, clips because I'm just into, fitness, working out, and I just like seeing people doing incredible things.
Yeah.
So if you do decide to do one, definitely let us know. So
I'll let
we
you
can pull
know.
up and support. But I want to see you go out there and be you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
After weightlifting, is there anything else that, like, movement wise, that you another skill that you want to develop?
Man, okay. I'm gonna say this. and the fact that it's on camera, it means I have to do it.
That means you got to do it.
You got to do it.
I've been doing a lot of strength stuff, so I want to get into, running, swimming, cycling a little bit more. My long-term goal is to do an Ironman.
Okay, I was waiting for like the triathlon or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think that's the natural progression.
That's a natural progression for
like
most
the
people,
older competitive athletes to get into like those endurance events.
Exactly, because most people that do lifting, they get into like jiu-jitsu or other martial arts, which I love. But the reason I started doing strength training is because I felt like I was naturally gifted at like,
you had
endurance stuff. I'm African, I could run, whatever. But I didn't have the strength. So I wanna give that a try.
Yeah.
And especially we just saw the marathon a few weeks ago, New York City Marathon, so that's always like a motivating experience to watch people go through that. And I like riding and I like swimming. I don't like running, but I'll mix it up.
I don't like running. That's the only thing I gotta get over.
I don't. The only thing is it's too slow for me. That's
I'm scarred. I'm scarred from wrestling, man. I lost too much weight running, and running with like bags on and sweaters and hoodies. Like I'm scarred, but I'll get over that. I want to get into cycling. So when I finally buy my bike, I'm gonna come find you.
Cycling.
I want to.
You're gonna be out on you, man. You're gonna have to put some work in.
Listen,
I see the IG stories, and I'm like, number one, you riding super fast. And you're recording, and I'm like, man, if I was there next time, he still might be moving faster than me right now.
I saw him one day riding to the. I saw him one day riding to the bouldering gym, and I'm like, oh, let me just pull up on him and say what's up. Bro, I chased him for 20 minutes.
In the car.
In the car.
He was moving.
It took me 20 minutes to catch this man. I'm like, yo, bro.
Yeah, New York City cyclists are crazy. We out here.
Yeah, y'all are different.
Yeah, y'all are built.
Y'all are different. 20 minutes. You understand? And he's on two wheels pedaling, and I'm just pressing the pedal, and I could not catch him.
Yeah,
that's freaking crazy. Let me ask you, just what besides like the weightlifting competition coming up, any just life-wise, man, any big plans coming up? Any aspirations you got, over the next year or two, something that you've been planning or trying to do?
A couple of things. I don't know if I'm ready to share all the details.
That's okay.
Yet,
That's okay.
But we got a couple of things coming up, yeah.
No, it's
I'm
good.
looking forward to hearing about it.
I'm looking forward to hearing about it, man. Like, I want all of us to prosper, man. I want all of us to keep growing, keep learning, keep sharing experiences with one another. So, yeah, man, just keep doing your thing, man. Just keep doing your thing, 100%. Don't stop, man.
Thank you.
Don't stop. But, yeah, I think that was amazing, man.
Yeah,
thank you for taking the time and sitting down with us. Like, I love hearing you talk about your experiences. I love, you know me, I like taking notes from you, man. I think you kind of soar in the weightlifting game. So anything you talk about, I'll be.
Listen,
right.
you gave me some goals. You gave me some goals in this talk. So I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. I'm looking forward to the things that you'll accomplish in the future. We're going to be here to talk about it. We're going to get back on the couch probably in a year's time after that competition. And kind of see like what's happening between now and then. Because we still going to be at it. We still be out here doing this thing with the podcast, building this community. And, we hope people got some gems, some inspiration from the things Mamou shared with us. Oh, and before we go, Supple Lion.
Mm-hmm.
Supple Lion.
Almost let it go.
Almost forgot that.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name?
Supple Lion. Well, Supple Lion was my original Instagram handle.
Yeah.
There's a book by Kelly Starrett called Becoming a Supple Leopard.
Yep.
Which was the first book that I read as a fitness professional, kind of getting into movement, mobility, things like that. And I'm a Leo, so lion. So I combine the two things.
Easy transition.
Lion. And I ran with that for a while.
It was such a legendary name because I remember when I read that book, and when that book came out, it was such a game changer.
For all of us.
For all of
us.
Yeah, listen, if you haven't picked up the book, check it out. It's worth it. Even now, when did that book come out? Like, it was like
10,
almost 10 years.
It's got to be over. It's over 10 years.
But still relevant.
Yeah, over 10 years.
Still
relevant until today. Yeah, we'll have it right here.
Yeah, they have a new one out. Kelly Starrett and his wife have a new one out called Built to Move. I don't know if you checked that out yet. I think it's a good one. I gifted
another one I'm running to. Yeah, he's been doing his thing.
Yeah, Kelly Starrett, check it out. But we're sitting here with the man who shares some real good insight, share his story, Mamou, formerly known as the Supple Lion. So thank you for sitting with us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. And I think that's a wrap, man.
Yeah, you know, check us out. Check us out on all platforms. Always hit that subscribe button. Keep showing us love. We're gonna keep coming back each week, every episode, getting better and better. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on another week.
Peace.
Peace.